I've cut out my side band and my peak, and because the side band is fairly similar top and bottom, I just put a little arrow pointing to the top just to remind me, and I've set my machine so that the stitches are a little bit longer than usual, just in case I have to unpick it. And I'm just going to do my seam up the centre back. Do a little reverse there and then cut that. Now I've already done some little quarter notches here. You can see there at the top I've done those, and so now what I need to do is put notches at the front. If you have to do an indication on your finished hat, which you probably will, I'd be inclined to put a pin or something up there just to remind you which is the top and the bottom, because putting that band in upside down will make a difference and could end up messing you up a bit. So there's another notch for that quarter, top and bottom again, and ditto over this side like that. And then pins over here, so make sure that you get the front with the front. And when you're pinning here, remember that the seam is going to be 1 centimetre in from the edge, and so you'll have to stretch this for it to sit flat on the very outside of the tip, because it's actually the right distance for 1 centimetre in, not for the very edge. So just be aware of that. Now put that on that back seam. I should have probably done a little back stitch at the top, but too late now. So they're the 4 that we know exactly where they're going to go. So that's the easy bit. Now if you're finding it's a bit of a tight squeeze, and I'll show you how to do this whether I need to or not, just so that you know how, you can do a series of little clippings here like that, but it has to be less than your centimetre, because if it's longer, you don't want to see cut edges on the other side of that seam line. So make sure that you don't overdo these, but a few of these will often help the thing fit, and especially with your finished one. With your calico you can pretty much mock it up. Now, so that you know when you're doing this, this is an instance where you put the simple part of the job on the underside, on the bed of the sewing machine, and the complicated on the top. So you've just got to sit and reflect for a moment which is the simple and which is the complicated. And if you got the tip to go on the machine bed and the side band to be on top, you would have got it right. Because effectively what you need to do is you need to wrangle this straight up and down component into a flat component that sits on that piece. So you can see now that's distributing much more easily, and I'll just put in an extra circle of pins, and if I put my fingers in there like that and then I just put that right up to the edge, then that really helps me get the right distance for those pins. So you just got to make sure that's, if you can make it sit nicely when you've got it holding it in your hand, you can make it sit nicely when it's stitched. And if you've measured your seam allowances and made your seam lines and made sure that they're both the same length, then nothing should be holding you back at all. So now I've got 8 pins. That's probably enough. You can put more in if you like, but then you have to take more out as well. So nobody gets a prize for lots of pins, just as many as you need. So we start at the centre back, drop that in there, put the piece on the 1 centimetre line like that, and just remember as you go, keep those edges together, and if they're together then and you've got that on your centimetre line, then you should get a really nice neat job. So chop around there like that, and just do each section, pay attention to that section as you go, and then when you get up to there you can release that pin when it's up to that point and just keep on going. And it's a really good piece of practice with your sewing, that you're doing a nice continuous curve. if you can do it on this, then it'll help you when you're doing your finished one. And we've done the notches at the top and the bottom, so we can go straight ahead and attach the crown to the brim, which we did last time. And if you haven't done it already, don't worry, we've got time to do that tonight. Pin out, edges together. And if you get into the habit of doing this at this early stage in your career, you'll be a force to be reckoned with in the flat pattern hat sewing world. One more section to do and then we're ready to sew on the brim. You could top stitch this, and when you top stitch it, you would do the top stitch line on the side band, not on the tip. But I'm not going to, because you don't want to stick around watching me do all that. So put that the right way round, and you can see there that's, oh, there's a little bit of a pinch there. No, that's all right, that's sitting okay. That's exactly the way we like it. Okay, so I now have my, oh, naughty old thing. I now have my brim that I did before, and it's still got a whole lot of pins in it. I'm not doing any more welting. And what I've got to do now is I've got to have this the right way out, and this one we've got to establish which one is the top and the bottom, and because it doesn't really matter, I'll just grab that like that, and then immediately putting the back seams together. That's probably the most important point. Now, you can also do those little clipping here. I'm not going to this time round. Hopefully it'll still fit okay. Just put your notches together to start with. Now, if I can, yep, I can make that sit flat together, so I don't need to put those extra notches in. Not notches, what am I calling them? The clipping line, you know, the little clips. But if you want to, you certainly can. And that's the last one. Now, some people use a little bit of Violin, that fusible Violin, to make the brim a bit stiffer. You don't have to, but if you want to see how the brim will sit, it's probably good to put something in. But given that it's really just to check the dimensions of the pattern and make sure that that's been done properly.